taking English notes. Let's jump right in. Method number 1. All right, method number 1, main and supports method. Now, for this method, the most important thing for you to remember is that you're going to divide your notebook into 3 different sections, okay? So think about the rule of thirds. Now, the middle section is the most important section. This section right here is going to be where your main point is, or the main information, okay? All right, now the top and the bottom sections are the sections for your supports, okay? And I'm going to explain what this means, so don't worry, okay? So again, the middle is the main, and the top and the bottom are the supports. So this is what's going to happen. In the center, you will see that I put grammar rule. So you're going to be studying grammar as you continue studying English. And in your notebook, one of the best methods for taking notes is to actually put the grammar rule in the center, okay? In this section, you will write the grammar rule, and then you can also write down any tips regarding the grammar rule in this section. All right, the next thing you're going to do is actually find 6 different example sentences regarding the grammar rule, or in other words, supports. So you're going to find 6 sentences that give an example of how to use the grammar rule. Now let's pause really quickly. You see, these sentences can come from a book, or they can also come from a teacher. It all depends on how you are studying English, okay? Your note taking depends on what method you're using as far as studying English. So if you're using a book, just look inside the book for the example sentences. Or if you are attending an institute and you have a teacher who teaches you every day actually how to speak English, what you're going to do is, as the teacher is speaking to you and writing on the board or giving examples, you're going to write down the examples that the teacher gives you in class. Usually, teachers, like myself, we put examples on the board. So, these examples will go inside of your notebook. This is method number 1. So again, main and supports method. All right, let's move on to method number 2. Method number 2 is the letter connections method. Now, this is one of my favorite methods, okay? So this is how it works. At the top of your notebook, you're going to actually put the vocabulary word, okay? So as an example, I just put the word vocabulary, but I'm going to explain to you how to actually do this. What you're going to do next is separate each letter of the vocabulary word. So you'll see that I'm circling, or actually putting a rectangle around certain letters in this word. What's going to happen is you're going to bring these letters down below the word. Again, this is inside of your notebook. And for each of the letters, you are going to find a word that starts with the same letter, okay? And you're going to write them in a line, okay? So for example, we have the C, and we're going to come and we do the C right here. So we're going to find vocabulary words that start with the letter C, all right? Again, remember I said this is the letter connections method. This is a great method for taking notes in English because it helps your brain connect to something. So let's look at a real world example. So let's say, for example, in my notebook, the word that I chose for today was actually happy. Very simple word, okay? This is the word that actually goes on the top, or the main heading of my notebook. Now, what I'm going to do is take the first letter, which is H, bring it down here, and now I need to find 3 words that start with the letter H. So, for my first word, I'm going to say health. Again, it's all dependent upon what words you are trying to learn. Now, for my next word, and I'm putting it underneath just because of space, my next word may be actually harmony. So again, it starts with the letter H, but it's a different word. And finally, for the letter H, I may actually say heritage. So now, even though the word happy is easy, I have 3 different words that start with the letter H. This is what you're going to do for the letter connections method, okay? And this is how your notebook will end up looking after you finish doing this method. A great method for learning and taking notes in English, okay? All right, method number 3, creative thinking method. Again, this is also a great method for studying and taking notes in English. This is how it works. In the center of your notebook, you're going to have an image. Now, again, you can actually find an image online, or if you're an artist or if you like to draw and sketch, you can actually sketch an image, okay? So it's up to you. You can do whatever you want for the image in the middle, okay? But what you're going to do is, after you have your image in the middle, what you're going to do is you're going to actually find 4 different vocabulary words that describe the picture. That's why this is called the creative thinking method. So, for example, let's look at this actual picture that we have right in front of us. So, we have this arrow right here. Let's say the arrow is connecting here. Well, actually, the vocabulary word that I found that describes this part of the picture is lace. So the lace on the lady's actual dress. And let's say for this section, I actually connected here and I found a word that described his clothing. And the word is suspenders, okay? Once again, suspenders. Now, underneath the word, you can also write the definition, okay? Write the definition under the word in your notebook, all right? And let's say for this right here, the word I found is actually bouquet, okay? So I found the word bouquet for this picture. And finally, for this side, let's say the word that I chose was jeans, okay? I found the word jeans, all right? And again, underneath, you're going to write the definition, okay? So this is very creative, okay? It helps you to visualize what you are learning. Now, another way you can use this method is for actually writing sentences. So again, the exact same concept. In the middle, there's an image, and on the top and the bottom, you have information about the picture. But this time, what we're looking at is a sentence, okay? A sentence about the image. So you are going to write a sentence that describes this image. So I'll give you one example. Now, let's say I want to explain this right here. So again, my sentence goes here, but if I write it right here, I can say, this man is, what is he doing? This man is doing a magic trick, okay? Is doing a magic trick, okay? With what? You got it. With his camera, okay? So this is my first sentence that I will put in this area right here, describing the image. Now, again, the reason why this is so important and so useful is because later on, when you come to look at your notebook, you will have a notebook that is very visually engaging, okay? Visually stimulating. So not just words, but actually something to visually remember and to keep in your brain when you're thinking about new vocabulary words or new patterns that you are learning actually in English as you study, okay? All right, so again, the creative thinking method. Now, method number 4. This is the organized information method. Now, the organized information method is very, very useful for listening and also for writing, okay? When you're studying these aspects of English, okay? It's a very good way to take notes when you're listening and also practicing your writing, okay? So let's look at the 3 different sections for this taking notes style, okay? All right, the first section right here, this is where you are going to put the information actually about what you are listening to or what you are writing about, okay? So right here we have the type. That means, is it going to be a podcast? Maybe you are listening to a podcast. Or is it a radio show? Or even is it a television program? Because you can also listen as you're watching. So you're going to decide which one it is, and you'll put that right on this line. Next, you have the length. How long is the program? For example, is it 10 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Or is it 1 hour? You can decide what you want to listen to and how long you want to listen. And then you have the title, okay? So this area is very important for the information. Now, the next section is actually dealing with the main details of the audio file or whatever you're looking at, okay? So again, the main details, okay, is going to go in this section, all right? All right, so again, who, what, when, where, why, okay? And the last section is where you're going to give the summary, okay? The summary of what you're listening to or what you are watching, okay? So again, your actual notebook, when you're taking notes, is going to be separated into 3 different sections, okay? And like I said before, this is actually so important for your brain to visualize and be able to separate information when you look at your notes, okay? All right, finally, the last method, method number 5, okay? The substitution method. This is also a very good method when you are trying to study English, but you are alone. And let me explain why that is the case. So in the beginning, or the top part of your notebook, you are going to put the actual English sentence, okay? The correct English sentence. Now, this sentence can come from a grammar book, or maybe you talked to a native speaker and that person actually gave you an example sentence that you can use. Or maybe you were watching a television program or listening to a podcast and someone said something in English and you wrote it down verbatim. It means you wrote down exactly what they actually said, okay? So you can decide where this sentence comes from, but it needs to be from a native English speaker. Now, after you have the sentence down, what you're going to do is actually you are going to highlight 3 different parts of the sentence. This is very important, okay? Only these 3 parts are going to be taken out of the sentence. This leads us to the next section, okay? In the next section, you're going to have 3 different sentences. Now, these sentences are going to be the exact same sentence as the one above. However, the only difference is you are going to delete or eliminate the 3 parts that you highlighted above, and you are going to replace them with your own answer. Now, don't worry, this is easier than it seems, and it is so helpful. So let me give you a real world example. Here's the sentence. I went to Paris last year with my family. Again, I went to Paris last year with my family, okay? So this sentence is quite easy to understand. But again, sometimes when you say sentences in English, you may make grammar mistakes. So what's my first job? I need to highlight 3 actual parts of the sentence, and I will change them. Now, let's go to my sentence where I change the information. So I'll write the other parts just like they are in the sentence. I went to blank last blank with blank. All right, now I have to actually write the information in. So I'm going to write, I went to London last Christmas, okay, get the S, with my friend, okay? So the grammar is correct. Why? Because I only changed these 3 pieces of information. That's how you use this method, and it's one of the best methods for taking notes in English. All right. Now, if you want to keep studying with me, I would love for you to join the Speak English with Tiffani Academy. In the Academy, I have monthly English study journals, tons of courses, great ebooks, and so much more, even an audio series with native English speakers. So join tons of other students and become a member of the Speak English with Tiffani Academy now.